Hello and welcome to the Mended Hearts podcast. I'm super excited to be back with you guys today and to give you an encouragement to your journey. And that is our hope with this podcast is that it would bring light and joy to your mental health healing journey wherever you are at. And I'm encouraged today to be talking with you guys and continuing our series on OCD distortions. This has been an awesome series for me to kind of just go through and give you guys tips and insights into these distortions that are really just destroying our lives within mental illness and within mental health and OCD specifically. And I want to be able to encourage you guys today with the distortion of control. I think control has a huge impact on every mental health, every mental illness struggle that we go through in this life that you may be struggling with right now, and especially in OCD. I mean, it is way distorted, and I just want to talk to you guys today about that to give you an encouragement to help you to be able to let go of control, to heal your heart from this need for control within OCD. Um, and really, our need for control is rampant among people with OCD and Christian perfectionists, right? We talk a lot in the Christian world about religion and we religion versus relationship and what that really means. And I want to encourage you guys today, um, if you struggle with OCD or if you're a Christian perfectionist, that you have a control problem, that you need to be able to let go of control. You need to recognize it and let God heal your heart through this. Um, so I want to give you guys a few things that you might struggle with specifically. I always like to be practical and give you guys insights of things, especially in OCD, the knowing the things that I've struggled with personally in my journey, but also that I know a lot of Christians struggle with, and I know a lot of people within OCD struggle with. If you have OCD, especially, you struggle with an immense amount of control. Um, and yeah, the first thing is that we believe that we need to have total control over our lives in order to feel safe and comfortable, right? I mean, in order to feel like we're gonna make it, in order to feel like we're gonna be okay, in order to feel like we're gonna have enough money, in order to feel like we're gonna have the perfect marriage, the perfect amount of kids, the greatest house in the market or whatever. We feel like we need to have total control over our lives in order to feel safe and comfortable. And really, this is just getting to the core of our hearts, of our desire and our sin and our need to have comfort in our lives and our need to have this just this comfort that's unattainable and that is not godly, that is not biblical. And yeah, and the second thing is in OCD especially, control is lived out in compulsive behaviors, right? So things like ruminating inside your head, checking compulsions, trying to figure out every little detail about our futures. I just talked about that a little bit, etc. Right? There's so many other things that OCD can attach to, that the subsets that it can, um, you know, portray in your mind in different ways, but it all kind of stems back from this need for control and all these different things, right? When we talk about ruminating inside of our heads and trying to figure out who may be the right significant other, the right person for us, and ruminating on that, or trying to figure out, what your future is going to be like. Are you going to make enough money? Obsessing about that, being so concerned about every little detail of what you're making and if you're going to be able to buy that house, if you're going to be able to um, you know, have enough kids or be successful in life or any little thing that it could attach to, right? I mean, I could go on talking about this forever about how many things OCD and our anxious minds can attach to, right? But I want you guys to get to the heart of the matter and just understand your battle for yourself. That if you feel like you're living this pressured lifestyle to figure this something out and to check things over and over again, and you don't feel that just contentness and peace in your life, then it's probably because you're struggling with control. So, um, I mean, things like checking compulsions could be control, like checking, the stove one more time, checking the lock one more time to make sure that the house didn't burn down. Checking your feelings to make sure you're not feeling any anxiety. We talked about that last week, right? Checking, yeah, your the anxious sensations that you get, physically, checking those all day long and trying to get rid of them and having control over them and having control over every detail of our lives. So really, these compulsions stem from our need to have utter control over every aspect, and we're not letting God have control. We are not giving that and surrendering those obsessive thoughts, those intrusive thoughts that are coming to us that are causing this immense amount of anxiety inside of us, right? But we're actually responding with compulsions, which is another, I guess, word for just having control over every aspect of our lives. And we need to really, I talk a lot about wanting to just get rid of these compulsions, wanting to stop the compulsive behaviors because they feel so real. They feel like you have to do them. OCD will convince you that you have to do them, and or something catastrophic will happen. And really, this is falls into another OCD distortion of catastrophic thinking. We want to be able to let go of that catastrophic thinking, to let go and to be okay, whatever happens could happen, to kind of use that exposure, right? We talk about exposure and response prevention, of exposing ourselves to that fear, of accepting the thoughts, accepting the fears, the things that we have, and not trying to control them, not trying to control every aspect of our lives. Because really, control, which brings me to my next point, is really just us trying to be God. It's us trying to take God's place. It's us trying to try to satisfy our own comfortability and to feel comfort and to feel safe through controlling every little aspect of whatever we're going through or the thoughts that we have. Um, Control, I always like to get to the heart of things, right? You guys know that as Mended Hearts Ministries, that's our heart, is to help you see yourself clearly because really that's what this journey is about. I'm not here to shame you for having control problems. I think we all have control problems. Some are just maybe a little bit stronger, more intense than others, especially when you have OCD. It's a lot stronger in it, and it feels a lot stronger in your mind and in your heart. And the anxious thoughts that you have, feel so real that you need to have control over them. So I want to be able to encourage you guys at the heart level and realize where control really stems from. I mean, I think control is just a branch of perfectionism, right? I mean, when we look at wanting to have control over every aspect of our lives or checking things over and over again or ruminating inside of our head. This is really just our perfectionistic tendencies that we use to try to protect ourselves from anything bad ever happening, from us ever experiencing any sort of mistakes or any sort of hurt in this life or any sort of pain. We try to hide it up by having control or by being perfect in a lot of ways. And what does perfectionism and control stem from? It stems from rejection. That's getting back rejection and shame, really. I think those go kind of hand in hand. Um, but we feel this shame from for not having control over something or for not being perfect, so that we try to hide it by having control over everything, and we try to not we don't want to feel that shame. We don't want to feel that guilt from realizing that we're imperfect people, that we're going to make mistakes, that if these worst fears and OCD were to happen, that we would still be okay, right? We don't think like that in OCD. We think that it's going to be awful, it's only going to be bad. We think negatively, you have just no positive mindset whatsoever, the opposite of who God wants us to be and how he wants us to live, right? So when we want to heal from control, we have to recognize that it comes from rejection and it comes from shame. And we got to go back to the root system of letting God heal our hearts. And that's my next point. It's just letting God heal our hearts from having control. We have to go back to the core fears that we struggle with. We have to go back to letting God, I think, yeah, just letting God heal our hearts, to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle with control, right? It's okay to have this control issues in our lives. I think we feel so much shame for even having control issues in our lives because we're trying to be perfect Christians who don't struggle with control, who don't struggle with anxiety, who don't struggle with OCD, whatever it is, right? And we have to be able to be okay to not be okay, but also to let God heal our hearts. To realize that the problem is not the problem usually within control, that we have a rejection mindset that God wants to heal, and he wants us to soften our hearts enough to be able to let go of this control so that we can heal. I hope that was an encouragement to you guys, and that you can relate to something I talked about in some sort of way, in some way that you can relate to control in your own life. I mean, I think as Christians, we struggle with control. I mean, it's rampant, like I said earlier, just in general, even if you don't have OCD. So, um, I want to get into a little bit of what a personal story because I love to talk about my own story, my own journey, and how God has healed my heart from control. So yeah, I'm excited to share with you guys just a little bit about maybe what I've struggled with and things that could help you grow too. And just what letting go of control has done in my life because really letting go of control has healed my heart. It's helped me walk with more power, with more love, and with more of a sound mind. And that's what I want to be able to help you with. And that's what we're about at Men and Hearts Ministries is to help you gain freedom from fear. That's really what it did in my life, right? It helped me gain freedom from fear-based thinking, from needing to have control over every little thing in my life, from having to check all these things or ruminate inside my head or figure out every little detail about the future, about things that are going on in my life right now. For example, like right now, like my wife and I are thinking about getting a house in the future, and um, you know, thinking about different career options and different things that are um, and then in probably the next year or so. And really, and really my mind could attach to these things and could try to ruminate and could try to obsess about these things and want to figure out every little detail about what's going to happen in the future. What's the house going to look like? What's the career going to look like? Um, but I've had to learn to know that these thoughts are going to come, that OCD is going to want to keep me focused on the future, going to come want to keep me focused on trying to figure out every little thing and check and let it consume my time and my life, focusing on these things. But really, I've had to learn to feel those thoughts, to feel the anxiety about not knowing and to let go. And it's brought me so much joy. That brings me to my second thing of what letting control has done in my life is I've been able to gain my contentment back in life and cultivated gratitude. I mean, when I let go of control, when I let go of these thoughts that are coming my way to try to keep me in this cycle of OCD, obsessing and then compulsing, obsessing and then compulsing, and having control over my life that I can actually gain contentment and I can be present. Like we're so focused either on the past or in the future, but we're not just being present to each day, to be faithful to each day, to serve with a heart of gratitude each day, to cultivate gratitude each day. And that is what I mean. I feel like this last year of my life, I've grown so much because I've let go of control, because I've let go of these thoughts. I've let go of needing to know certain things or having to do compulsive behaviors or having to do these things. I've just been present and I've been able to enjoy what's right in front of me. And I've been able to smile like this over and over again each and every day and just been so I'm graciously and amazingly content because God is in me and He is my source of contentment and He is my source of trust and my source of gratitude. And I just found my total contentment in Jesus and having a relationship with Him and cultivating that. And it's just been the most amazing thing in my life. But it started with Him healing my heart. With him healing my rejection mindset from feeling like I have to know all these things to feel comfortable and to have control over my life because that would mean that everything would be good in my life and that I would be happy, and really that's a lie from the enemy. Like the only way that we're actually going to be happy in life is not if we have this perfect life or have the perfect spouse or check these things over and over again to make sure everything's perfect or figure out the details of the future or whatever your OCD attaches to. That we have contentment by letting those things go and just being present in relationships, being present to what we have in the moment. And really, I like to talk about exposure and response prevention, and that's helped me on my journey at ERP. But honestly, the biggest thing that's helped me is acceptance and commitment therapy. More of that technique of just accepting these thoughts, but committing to live my life to be present. And that's still exposure, right? That's still exposing yourself to the thoughts because they're going to come. The anxiety is going to come. The thoughts are going to come either way. But letting them go so that you can gain contentness and cultivate gratitude in your life. So I want to end just with a few verses that, man, just have been such an encouragement to me to learn how to trust God and to know how to trust God with all my intense, OCD obsessions and thoughts that come my way, to know and recognize them as OCD and not me, they're not my thoughts, but their thoughts just come and go. Everybody gets intrusive thoughts, right? And they try to make you control things. They try to make you, um, yeah, compulsively do things over and over again. And these three verses, man, have just been an encouragement to me, and I hope that they bless you. The first one is Proverbs 3 5 through 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." And man, this verse has just been so encouraging to me to know that I don't have to lean on my own understanding for things, right? That I don't have to lean on, um, and when I interpret that verse is leaning not on my own understanding is basically letting go of control over everything, not needing to know everything, not needing to understand everything that's happening to me or what's going to happen in the future or all these different things that our obsessions tend to obsess about and ruminate about, but submitting those to God, to take those thoughts captive, to make them obedient to Christ, to learn the mindfulness of letting them go. And that is what leads to making my path straight, to knowing that, the reality of trust is that trust takes faith, and faith is things that we don't see, right? Faith is for the hope of things that we don't see. So and really what that means is that we don't get to see the future. We don't get to see what's going to happen. We don't get to know every little thing that OCD wants us to have. And that's God making our path straight, is to know that we just need to be present, to be faithful, to, yeah, to be actionable about, the things that we have to do and the day-to-day things that we do in our lives, but just being faithful and letting, taking steps here and there and growing here and there and being on a journey of healing and growing and not trying to figure everything out, but being present and not letting OCD take your peace away. So the second verse is Philippians 4 6 through 7. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Man, this verse is so good when I think about the peace of God that transcends all understanding. I think, when he says that we don't need to be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. I love that aspect of thanksgiving, of cultivating gratitude. That when we present our request to God, when we say, "God, like, you can have this control, I let go of it, help me to heal." And you invite God into healing the depths of your heart from needing control, from this rejection mindset that you have. That the peace of God, when you do that, the peace of God will surround you, and it transcends understanding, that you'll feel the peace once you actually let go of compulsive behavior and you let go of control in your life. And God will guide you, and he will um, guard your heart and guard your mind from needing control in the future, because OCD is going to want to come back, right? It's going to want to come back to destroy your life. It's going to come back to want to make you have control over everything again, or think you need that. But you have to continue to let go of that, to realize you're not going to be perfect at this, and to, like I said earlier, to be okay to not be okay, to be okay to struggling with control sometimes. That's just a part of life, right? Like, we're imperfect human beings who are sinful, who are going to struggle with these things, and we need to love ourselves in that and know that it's okay to not be okay. And God sees us and God knows us, and man, his power is made perfect in our weakness, right? So the last verse is Matthew 11:28 through 30, and this is probably one of my favorite verses in all of Scripture. But it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I just love that last part, honestly, of when Jesus says that, to come to Him first of all, because we need to come to Him. We need to spend time with Him. We need to cultivate just a vibrant relationship of Jesus and experiencing His affectionate love for us as sons and daughters of Him. And when we do that, we will receive His yoke, which means just His burden on us is easy and it's light, right? His burden is light and His yoke is easy. And when we come to Him, that we're going to experience peace, that we don't have to live in this anxious, control, perfectionistic lifestyle, that we can let go of that through healing our hearts and through learning and growing through this disorder and through mental illness in general, and letting Jesus be um, the one that we run to, the one that we find our contentness in. And, I think this takes steps, right? We have to take a step to go to therapy to learn the techniques, the strategies to overcome OCD, to come to coaching, pitch right there, to come to Men and Hearts coaching with me. I have experience in ERP and ACT and therapeutic techniques and have a passion for helping you get to the heart of things. And I think that's really what it takes to overcome OCD and any mental illness in general. So I'd love to work with you. I'd love to encourage you on your journey. But we need to take a step to be able to overcome. Just a final encouragement for you guys before we hop off here, but just it's okay wherever you're at right now to not be okay. But we have to also come to terms with our control issues in our life and be determined to heal through them. That's my heart for you guys, is to be determined to heal through them, through letting go. And really that's what it is just saying, God, you can have everything. I let go of control. I just want my, my life back, my joy back, my peace, my contentness, my ability to be present in relationships back. And when we give that to God, and we are okay with not being okay, He will heal our hearts, and He will continue to show us that it's a journey that He will take us day by day to help us walk with more power, love, and a sound mind. And the last thing is you're never alone. Guys, so many people in mental illness or struggle with mental illnesses in the world. I read something the other day that mental illness is the leading cause of disability in the world, and I believe it. I mean, even more so than physical illnesses sometimes. That the things that are unseen that we experience in our minds and our hearts are the things that are the most debilitating and the most um, yeah, just the hardest things we go through in this life. And I think there's a lot of shame behind that because it's not seen. You see physical like illnesses, but you don't see mental illnesses. And there's a lot of stereotype and stigma and shame around that. But I would encourage you guys to not let that stop you from healing, to embrace it, to know that it's okay to not be okay, and to experience mental illness in your life. So um, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Please reach out if you want any help, further help. I'd love to be able to coach you. As I mentioned earlier, you can apply on our website, menandheartsministries.com. And please check out our social media at Men and Hearts Ministries on all platforms. Give us a like this video, please. It really helps us continue to grow and to continue to help advance God's kingdom through helping people heal from mental illness. So thank you guys for tuning in. The Men and Hearts podcast. We'll see you next time.